Hi, hello! I mentioned in a recent video that I have purchased another one of the Guerlain Ombre G quads, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, they look like this, and the quad in question is called Imperial Moon, so it is this one here. And I'm going to start doing my makeup, and then we're going to do a little bit of a chatty about these quads, but starting off with my eyeshadow primer. Basically, last year these were released, I want to say, maybe exactly about a year ago. They're a relatively new release from Guerlain. And then I had seen videos about these, especially from Sophia, from Sophia Sees Beauty. She gave them a really positive review, but honestly, I was like, yeah, just another, you know, probably unremarkable luxury eyeshadow formula. And then in the summer of 2022, we got these here in the Netherlands, and we actually got them in store. I would never have purchased these if I hadn't swatched them in store, because they are incredibly expensive. They are over 70 euros a piece, I want to say. So that's basically to say I was aware of these, I was sort of curious, but I had no interest in purchasing. I'm taking the L'Oreal Brow Artist Plumper. And then, like I said, I walked into a store and I swatched them. And I was just so... What the hell is going on here now? Excuse me. And I was just so basically flabbergasted about how incredibly good the formula on these eyeshadows is. I expected them to be something similar to, I don't know, the Tom Ford formula, which is fine, but you know, I don't need more Tom Ford-esque like eyeshadows. But these are not the same. They're the closest I could describe them is the Tom Ford formula, but they're better than the Tom Ford formula. And when I say the Tom Ford formula, I mean the Wet and Dry formula, not his regular eyeshadow formula. So the two are very comparable, and yet these are slightly different and, in my opinion, better. And I was just so surprised at the variety of textures that were present in these quads, at how the sparklier shades had so much dimension to them without being a glitter bomb type of eyeshadow. Like, they're nothing like, I don't know, Rose Fire Nectar from Pat McGrath Labs, but they still have complexity and uniqueness to them. And basically, I was going to walk out of the store with the quad that I had chosen at the time, but I did not, because they had just the display. They hadn't actually started selling them. They hadn't stocked them in the store. But then I went home, I found them online on sale, and I purchased the first one. And this is the one that I have talked about before quite a bit on my channel. This is Royal Jungle. And I fell in love with Royal Jungle. Basically, I've rambled about it so much at this point that I just don't feel like there's anything more to say. Let me decide which foundation I'm using today. You know what? It's been a while since I've done the Chanel Complexion Touch, so I'm going to take a little bit of that. Now, this is a formula that will definitely work better for me with a brush, so I'm just going to go with the classic base from Sonia G. I think swatches of these eyeshadows will basically tell you nothing about what they actually feel like, because on the swatches they're just not going to look very impressive. They are the type of eyeshadow formula that you have to put on your eyelids and experience on your eyes to really understand what I mean when I tell you that these are some of the most elegant, user-friendly, yet dimensional and, you know, complex eyeshadows that I have ever tried, especially from a luxury brand. What I can tell you generally about the formula is it is in the beautiful, like, baked formula. I don't know if it's baked gelée. It feels baked gelée, and it's very lightweight. And these eyeshadows are so effortless that, honestly, I don't even think you absolutely need a brush to apply them, because I've played a lot around with these eyeshadows, including just, you know, in the mirror, not really doing anything special, and I've tried using them just with my fingers and slightly like blending them out, and they work that way too. Maybe I will demonstrate that for you in a little bit, just to convince you that that's true. If you're here for a very like punchy, pigmented formula off the get-go, this is not the train stop for you. These are not that. What they offer is different tones in a very interesting formula, but very elegant and very subdued. I'm going to put a little bit of the Charlotte Tilbury corrector in the shade Fair. Cover some of them under eye circles that are hanging out underneath my eyeballs. I'm going to take the First Aid Beauty Bendy Avocado Concealer in the shade 2. So Royal Jungle was my first love. I still really love that quad, but ever since I purchased Royal Jungle and ever since I first swatched these eyeshadows, I had always lost it after Imperial Moon, because Imperial Moon has a couple of those more cooler toned eyeshadows, and you know, I basically like everything. There is not a single eyeshadow color under the sun that I don't like, and I do like cooler toned, like especially interesting cooler toned eyeshadows. And there is one eyeshadow in the Imperial Moon quad that I find particularly unique and very interesting, and I will swatch it in a bit and I will show it to you, but basically the closest relative that I can think of for that eyeshadow is Lavendering from Pat McGrath. I'm going to set my face with the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Finish. Alright, and hopefully you don't mind, but I'm actually not going to do the rest of my face makeup together with you. Well, I am, but in a different video, because I still have to finish filming my Divine Bronzer Collection video, and I still have to demo Bronze Mahogany. So I'm going to do a couple of swatches now for you, and we're going to talk a bit more about the eyeshadow formulas and the textures that are present in these Guerlain quads. And then I'm going to demo Imperial Moon for you. Now, I want to start by telling you a little bit more about the different textures that are present in here. Specifically, the two quads that I have a variety of different textures in them. So in Imperial Moon, you have this sort of like black gray color, this sort of like peachy pinky, more satin color, and then you have these two more sparkly shades. Like I said, this one reminds me a bit of Lavendering because it has this like grayish taupe base with like pinky, like a pink, purple, not pink, like a purple hue to it, like a cool toned purple hue to it. And then you have this like more silvery topper shade. Texture wise, these are very different from each other. This shade has more of a classic like satin matte type finish. These two have a bit more sparkle to them, but they're very lightweight. And this shade here is also very similar to one of my favorite shades in the other quad, which is the dark brown, the respective like dark color in this shade. And I've talked about the texture of that eyeshadow so much, but basically it feels like hard clay. Don't know how else to describe it, but it is a very unique texture with basically zero fallout. So here you have the four eyeshadows just applied on my finger, and now I'm going to swatch them, starting off with the deepest shade, which, as you can see, it is a beautiful dark shade, but it's not, you know, the punchiest, blackest black out there. Excuse me. Here we have the peachy pink satin matte. Then we have, I think, my favorite shade in here, which is this extremely interesting taupey base with the lavender purple sparkle, and your classic sparkly silver. I'm going to start off my look by applying this shade here. And what I like to do with this eyeshadow and also the corresponding brown shadow in the Guerlain quad is I like to basically apply them a little bit as a dark base, but a dark base that is not too overpowering, has zero fallout, and basically just gives a bit more dimension to the lid and to the other shades that you can apply over top. And if you want to, and I usually do, I'm going to just slightly deepen the color here towards the lashes. And I just like how versatile this texture and this formula is, because you can go with the absolute lightest hand, you will still have that depth and dimension in your look, but you will not have a straight up, you know, smoky eye. So if you didn't want to wear a straight up smoky eye, but you wanted to give a little bit of dimension to your look with a dark eyeshadow during the day, then this is the absolute most perfect formula for you. I will say, with this formula you do feel like you're paying for the quality, because it is so beautiful Yeah, I just can't shut up about the formula of these quads, I'm sorry. I will add one thing though. The packaging of this, while beautiful and very luxurious looking, feels a little bit light and a little bit flimsier than I would have liked to. I would have liked this to have a little bit more weight to it, but because the formula is so spectacular, I'm willing to forgive it, even if the outer packaging looked like trash, to be honest with you. Obviously it's Guerlain, so it doesn't look like trash, that's not at all what I'm saying, but it's also not the heftiest in the hand. And as you can see, there is zero fallout. Not a single speck of that black eyeshadow has fallen onto my eyelid. It's impeccable. And now, because I wanted to make a point here that you can basically blend these out with your fingers, I'm going to go in with this eyeshadow and I'm just going to apply it all over the lid, blend it out above my crease, just using my finger. And this is also a very versatile formula because you can apply it a bit more sheer. You can also apply it wet if you want it to have a little bit more shine and reflectivity. But okay. And I'm just going to smudge it out like this with my finger. And voila. I don't think there's anything else you need to do here. If you wanted to, you could definitely use a brush, but if you're in a hurry and you just have like literally 5 seconds to whack on an eyeshadow, just take one of these, especially one of the lighter shades, whack it on the lid, then just do a light smudge, if necessary, because it might not even be necessary, around your crease area, and you are basically done. That's it. Also, this purple shade is going to look completely different if you just use it by itself without the black base underneath, but that's also something that I feel like adds to the versatility of this quad, the fact that you can layer these textures. Now, I want my inner corners to be nice and shiny, so I'm going to take the silver shade, and I am actually going to spritz my brush with a little bit of Fix Plus, because I want that shade to be nice and shiny. And also it's a good way to show you that these can apply also really, really wet if you were to wet them. So look at that punch. Look how beautiful that is. And you can do the absolute same thing with the purpley eyeshadow. I'm not going to do that because, as I mentioned, this eyeshadow just reminds me so much of lavendering that this look calls for the tiniest bit of lavendering specks to complete it. So I am actually going to complete the look first by applying the tiniest bit of this black eyeshadow on my lower lashes, and then we're going to do a bit of sparkle pairing. So I like to wear these eyeshadows both on their own and with a few specks of glitter from Pat McGrath when I feel the need for that. But you absolutely don't have to. Depending on your taste in makeup, you may even feel like these eyeshadows are already glamorous enough for daytime as it is, and they have enough sparkle to them as it is. But my meter is a little bit different than most people's meters. So even though sometimes I crave a very simple, non-sparkly look, on most days I do crave me sparklies. Alright, are you ready? We are taking Risque Rose and going into the beloved Lavendering, which, as you can see, has those similar DNA, but it is far sparklier. Obviously it's a completely different texture. And I'm going to whack on a little bit of those lavendering sparkles just to add even more dimension to this look. And I still think it is a very like elegant, classy, not over the top look, even if you add lavendering. But like I said, you don't have to. Okay, I am back and I am not alone. As you can see, someone has joined me. He was a little bit sad, so I needed to console him, but now he's on my lap, being loud, moving a lot, and he's really, really heavy. So unfortunately, I was not able to do my shot that I usually do, where I demonstrate the makeup from a bit more close and personal. Let me see if I can move him a bit out of the way. Nicola, even aan de kant. So this is the final look. With the Imperial Moon Quad with guest star appearance from Lavendering by Pat McGrath Labs. Speaking of Pat McGrath Labs, I did complete the rest of my makeup. You will see the bronzer demo. No, you have already seen the bronzer demo because the bronzer video is coming first. On my lips I'm wearing one of Pat's Divinals. This is the shade Temptress. I did consequently think that maybe Rain from Lisa Eldridge would have looked beautiful with this look, but it was too late and I haven't worn Temptress in a really long time, so I figured, okay, let's just do Temptress today. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions about Imperial Moon or the Ombre G formula from Guerlain, please do let me know. As usual, thank you so much for watching and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!
Bye! Jane, go! Go!
Clap yes.
Dedo.